Chinese lenses, are there any good or do they suck? Well, let's find out after this intro. Hey, what's up? Gabby here from Ray Studios, and today I'm going to be talking all about Chinese lenses. As you can see, I'm all ready to go to the swimming pool with my family, but first I wanted to have this rant, have this conversation with you about Chinese lenses. So, my opinion on Chinese lenses is I got plenty of them because I live in China and it's easy for me to get a hold of them. And they're very affordable, and most companies send me the lenses for free to do the review. So yeah, I got a lot of them. So I'm in a good position to talk about this particular topic. And what I think is that most Chinese lenses, especially for the last few years, are like fully manual lenses that they have pretty okay optics. In some cases, the optics are really good. So the glass inside the lens is actually very good, and the build construction is also very good. Surprisingly, because someone might have this misconception that Chinese products are bad, when in reality, and especially lately, they're actually very good. Now, that being said, what these Chinese lenses try to be is kind of like a optional budget alternative to the lenses that they already exist from different brands like Sony, Canon, whatever. But this year in particular, 2021, I came across 4 lenses that they were remarkable, and I really want to talk about these 4 lenses because I think we're about to start a new era of lenses in which these third-party lenses from China, that they're actually more affordable than the original lenses from the different camera brands like Canon, Sony, Nikon, or whatever, like I say, the different camera brands, and they're actually more affordable and they give you more and with better quality. So there are 4 lenses that really strike me. I'm gonna start with the ones that maybe less impressive, and I'm gonna go up into that, showing the best one at the very end. So, and they're also for different camera systems. So regardless of what camera you have, keep watching. Let's help that algorithm. The algorithm goes. So the first one is the 7 Artisans 10mm f2.8 fisheye lens. I'm a big fan of ultra wide angle lenses, especially fisheye lenses. They're very creative, and when these lenses tend to be very sharp, it's easy to kind of crop into the lens and make it into like a 15-16mm, correct this distortion, and you end up with a fisheye plus an ultra wide. So it becomes a very useful lens, especially now with cameras that they're so sharp. They have like this 4K. Like my camera is the Canon EOS R6 I'm using now. It's basically like a 5.6K downsample into 4K, and the image is so freakingly sharp. I also have the Sony CVE10. It's the latest APSC from Sony that also downsample from 6K into 4K. It's incredibly sharp. So when you crop the image with one of these lenses, nothing really happens. You don't drop in quality. So this lens is remarkably sharp, but the one thing that is really striking about it is for a fisheye or ultra wide angle lens, it also have really low chromatic aberration, but the one thing that really takes the cake is that the coating on this lens is next level. It's like nothing I ever seen before from any brand. So the coating on this lens basically handles contrast very well. So when you use a fisheye lens or ultra wide angle lens in a very high contrast situation, basically the sharpness just goes away. Just go flush the toilet, like, no more contrast. Sharpness, it looks soft. With this lens doesn't. It's just go like sun directly into the lens and nothing happened. So it's very, very impressive. I don't know what kind of coating they use, but they took it to the next level. So the optics are so good. Also the lens flare. These kind of lenses tend to have such an awful lens flare. Like you see, like they basically ruin your image, but this doesn't. And like I say, prices are always a little bit on the low end when compared to, let's say, Canon, Nikon, or other brands. So first lens on the list done. I'm gonna go to the second list that is second in the list that is also very impressive, and this is the ttartisans. For this one, I'm gonna remove the rear cap because it's very impressive. This is a f1.2. Look at that. Look at that thing. It's open really wide, it's very fast, And you will think, you know, if you've been in photography for a long time, you test a lot of lenses, you know that lenses that tend to open all the way up to 1.2, they tend to have chromatic aberration. I mean, there is no way around it. They tend to sometimes, the bokeh in the corners have a little bit of distortion, the sharpness drops at f1.2, of course, f1.2, well, this doesn't have any of these problems, and it's so cheap. I think this is like somewhere around $100. It's very small. I don't know how they do it. It's very, very impressive optically. So same like the 7 Artisans, this is fully manual. So manual focus, manual aperture, and that's maybe one of the things that can make people a little bit scared to buy a Chinese lens. They're mostly like this, fully manual lenses. But now we go into a new category, like the ultra premium, I would like to call this. And for this one, I'm also removing all the caps. And take a look at that thing. This is a scene of beauty. I mean, this is very likely the nicest lens for the Sony APS-C camera system. It's all metal, including the lens hood. So when it comes to build quality, it's like, damn, like you don't expect Chinese company to do this, right? And then you have an optional automatic aperture to a control ring aperture, like these very high level professional lenses from Sony or Canon. Then we have a metal mount. We have a micro USB for updates. We have connections, which means we have autofocus. And the autofocus, generally speaking, is actually very fast. For video, it's super fast. If you want to see the review on this lens and the little brother from this one, this is the 33mm, Viltrox 33mm f1.4 for Sony E mount. I also have the 23mm review somewhere there in the corner. Just click there, go take a look at those reviews. If you want to buy it, there is links in the description for everything I mentioned in this video. But yeah, so build quality is excellent. Image quality, these lenses are razor sharp. I mean, if you are into sharpness, yes, please. They do suffer from chromatic aberration, both the 33 and the 23. So something that you might want to consider there, because sometimes the chromatic aberration also shows on videos, and it's very easy to correct chromatic aberration on photos, not so much on videos. So something to keep an eye for. But generally speaking, this is like really, really high-end lens with autofocus. I mean, there is no downside to this. I mean, there is no image stabilization and a little bit of that chromatic aberration. But generally speaking, is at this price and for this camera system, there is no competition. I think there is very little competition, very little out there with such a high performance and high quality. And this comes from China. It's a Chinese lens that basically beats the Sony counterparts by far on every aspect, basically. Last but not least, actually the lens that impressed me the most is the Yongnuo 85mm f1.8. This lens have very, very, very impressive image quality. So it basically have no flaws. The chromatic aberration is handled very well at f1.8. We have really good bokeh. Actually, all these lenses have really good bokeh. I mean, the bokeh rendition, the way those out of focus backgrounds render is just so good in all of these lenses. I mean, that goes without saying. This one too. The optic is so good, the autofocus is incredibly fast, and like that is not enough, we have a control ring that you can use it either to focus, or you can use it to have different settings, and you can have it with noise for photographers or without noise for filmmakers. That's something that no other company do. So it's very impressive that basically a Chinese company rise above everyone else and say, yeah, let's do that. So you have autofocus, build quality is excellent, it's metal mount. The lens hood is plastic, but I mean, I would rather have a plastic with a lens for full frame cameras. This is for my Canon EOS R6. So you keep it a little bit lighter. For the smaller system, the APS-C, having metal is fine because it's small, it's lighter anyway. But generally speaking, this is very, very impressive. These also have a Type-C USB connection for firmware upgrades. I don't think I will need them. My only complaint was the focusing ring turns a bit too much to go from one end to the other end. Some people like it, some people don't, so it's not like something bad. Usually filmmakers like it. I like the shorter turns This turns kind of like a little bit too much, but it turns very smoothly. Everything is just so cool with this lens. So all these 4 lenses come highly recommended. Just in case you want to buy any of these lenses, as usual, link in the description down below. And I'm gonna, so I'm gonna go quickly run down all these lenses in case you want to buy them. This is 7 Artisans 10mm f2.8 fisheye lens. This is for the Canon EOS R6, but it comes available in most full-frame mirrorless cameras like the Nikon Z and Sony A7s, A9s. You get the idea. No DSLR, so no Canon 5D or stuff like that. So this is the first one, full frame. The second one that I talk about is the ttartisans 50mm f1.2. This is only for mirrorless cameras with APS-C sensors or micro four sensors. So basically Sony a6400, Sony CB10, I think there is the Nikon C50 or something like that, Fuji X, and Canon EOS M mount, and also the micro four mounts. So pretty versatile, very cheap, highly recommended. It's fully manual, but if you want to start learning photography, you might actually adventure into a fully manual lens, and this is very easy to control as a matter of fact. Now here we have the Viltrox 33mm f1.4. Like I said, these also have a basically a little brother and a big brother, which is the 23mm f1.4 and 56mm f1.4. All these lenses are just so good, super good. Everything is good about it. There is like, it's just a little bit of chromatic aberration, but other than that, this is fantastic. So Viltrox 33mm f1.4, 23 and 56 also available. Usual link in the description down below. And then the last one is the yongnuo 85mm f1.8, and yet again, same as this one, is full frame mirrorless cameras only. So Canon EOS R6, 3, Nikon Z and Sony A7s. You get the idea. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. That's it for me. Subscribe to the channel. I'm going soon.